morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and I hope everyone's going to have an awesome day today. We are back with Panalisa, and today I'm using this set. I've kept this one out because I'm going to reuse it, and it also comes with separate little stamps. Now the only one that I'm going to be using today is the long rectangle, so we're using this set, and I'll keep that there because I need to use it again. We're also going to be using a stamp from Panalisa. This is a large stamp, I think. Let's get my ruler. I think this is a 5x5. No, it's not. Or is it? It's 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So that's the stamp that we're going to use. And we're also going to use this lovely long flower die, which I have cut apart because I needed to. Right, so it's the stamp and it's the flowers, and I'm going to use this again. Everything that I use is always linked below, so if you ever, need anything, then if you just click on show more and it will show you more. Yeah, it will show you all the links. Now, I've got a purple thumb, yeah. I've got a purple thumb and I've got a bit of black ink on me actually. My purple thumb is I ran out this morning into the garden to beat the birds at getting my breakfast because I had mulberries and they were all ripe. And if anybody knows what mulberry juice is like, it's strong enough to dye your clothes, put it that way. It permanently dyes concrete. So that's what the juice will do. So you have to excuse my thumb. I'm not necessarily going to run off after and soak it in bleach, but I might give it a good old scrub with some Dawn. Right, I'm digressing. Let me get my scruffy mat down first, because today we're going to do stamping and inking, and I just want to keep my little bit of papery background clean. Right, so that's a silicone mat that I've just put down there. So I'll pop my die back on top, and I'm also going to be using some archival in black soot. We're going to use that in a minute. Right, so up to my die cuts. I've cut out the flowers and leaves. Everything is white, so we're going to colour everything. So I'll just pop all my bits over there. There is the one little stamp, the rectangle that I intend to use, and this is the background. So my background is going to go straight back into the die. I've already poked everything out, I think. So there we have that. Now if you ever need to use a piece of tape or something to hold it back into the die, you can do that, but you can usually feel around and catch the register of the paper, if you know what I mean. And that is pretty much there, and I will do that again in a second. Right, I'm using tea dye, and I've got my tea dye foam all ready to go, and that's the colour that I'm choosing to go on here today. So I'm just inking myself up, and this is Distress Oxide. If you want to use regular oxide ink, you can do that. I'm just making sure that I'm down again. I'm going to hold it here, I think, and I just want to colour it in. So I might go quiet because you know me, I do enjoy inking, and I might even use another colour. Just to make it, I might go in with some yellow mustard seed or something. I think that might look pretty around the edges. So just generally swirly twirly. Make sure you've got your die held down and your cardstock still. I'm leaving a few spaces there because I'm deciding that I do want to go in with some yellow. And of course all you have to do is moisten a piece of kitchen paper and wipe your die off afterwards. Right, so I've got that, and I hope my paper didn't shift. So I'm just checking the register of it there. And I'm hoping I've got mustard seed. Oh, I've got squeezed lemonade. Oh, that'll do. Yeah, I have a bit of squeezed lemonade, so I'm just going to pop that foam onto there. And I'll get my squeezed lemonade. Thought I had mustard seed, but because this is going up against tea dye, it'll mellow it out anyway. Right, so make sure our paper's in, and I'm going to come off from this side just to add a little bit of a sunny hue. I might put a little bit down there. Oh, we had lovely hot weather yesterday. I had to make sure everything in the garden was watered. I do panic about everything when the sun comes out, even though I love it. Right, so I'm going to stick with that, and I haven't got a clue what that looks like until I lift the dye up. Hopefully it did it nice and tidy. There you go. So we've got a nice little bit of shadow and shade, and there's two colours there with the tea dye and the squeezed lemonade. Now I'm just going to go and wipe this clean because we're going to use it again now, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've wiped my dye nice and clean, and I've decided I want this to be the top of my card. I haven't actually cut them out for it yet, so at some point I'm going to run off and go and cut my background, and I'm putting that straight back in there, and I'm going to turn it around. Now this time I'm going to get some Scotch removable tape, which is this stuff. This is a very old box, and I've got two more. I've probably had that for about 10 or 15 years. It really does last an awful long time, and as it states, it's removable. So I just want to cut a small piece of this, just enough to go over the perforation section and hold my paper in place, or just to help me hold it in place. So slot it back into the die. I'm going to get it there. I'm going to put the widest bit on the back because I cut that out a bit wonky. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to wrap it around the front and take a look. Yeah, just make sure that it's only attached to your die. I'm going to have a piece there. Can you see that the tape is just to the die? It's not actually stuck on the paper, and the same there. And then with my last piece, I'm going to do this bottom edge. And because I cut this skewy as well, I'm putting the widest bit to the cardstock. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the top. So now I've just got something, you know, that's kind of, she says, shaking that piece away. That's helping me hold that in position. There, I'll give it a good rub this time. Right, so now we have paper in die. Now I'm going to leave the stamp actually just attached to its background, and just look at the different ways that it is. I think I'm going to have it that way around, and just slide my die out of the way, and I'm just going to ink this up now. I'm hoping that everything's in the camera, and I'm using Archival because it's a much deeper black than VersaFine Clair, although VersaFine Clair does give a finer detail stamp, to be honest. You're not going to get a blacker ink than Distress Archival. And of course it's waterproof. So I'm hoping that I have inked that up sufficiently. And now what I'm going to do is pick my die up. I've got the help of holding it in the die and looking at where I am. I want my top section off the edge, so I'm hoping that that's correct. And now I'm committed, and now I'm just going to rub down through the sections onto the stamp. and hopefully we've got a decent image. So we'll find out when we lift off. There you go. That's what I've got going through there. Now you can see this bit is plain, so I'm now going to turn my stamp upside down, and I'm going to ink just this section here. So I'm just going to pop that out of my hands. And I need to bring the stamp down so that you can see this. That's better. Bit more for good luck. And now I just want to take the top section of my die, go right to the top of that there. I think that's it. Pop that down and give that a rub. Don't worry about any ink on the back because it has to have a background cut for it. Right, so that's what we've got there. So now we can remove it from the die, and obviously I need to run away and wash it. I'm just going to move my stamp out of the way for a second and peel back these bits. I'm just going to stick that there for a minute. And that's what we've got so far. Now, to be honest, I would say that probably did stamp the best. I didn't put enough pressure down here, but that's okay. It's a little bit distressed looking. Right, I'm just going to run off and wipe my die, and I'll be right back. Right, so that's all washed. You can see it's, you know, exactly as it should be. And I've also added some tea dye to my little label, doing it exactly the same way as I did this. So I've got a little bit of black soot left on this, so I'm just going to go around the edges. I've just noticed I've got a bit of fluff on there. Just want to take that off. Right, where was I? So I'm having a bit of black onto here. I want it to look a bit grungy. And I'm going to go black on the edges of this as well. And this is going to go onto another white cardstock background. So just having a little bit of something, you know, that will make it pop away from that. And I will actually measure this and go and cut myself a piece. Right, so that's got just a little bit of black around the edges. Okay, so I'm just going to move that. And I'll move my little label, and we're going to bring these in. This is so easy. Just plain white cardstock, just get your blending tools out and just choose your ink. Now I'm going to choose lemonade first, the squeezed lemonade. Trying to make sure I've got no yuck on my fingers. And I know that there's quite a bit on here, so kind of want to concentrate just in the middles, which of course is difficult to do on a tiny flower. So I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to go with Kitsch Flamingo, which is this one, oxide again. And I think there's still a little bit left on this. If there isn't, I will put some more on. But that's quite subtle, isn't it? I'm going to go for a little bit more and be brave. And I'm quite literally just striping the ink. Right, so I'm going to finish doing exactly what I'm doing here and I will be right back. Right, so those are done, and I've also stamped thank you on my little label. So I'm just going to put that out of the way. And then next up for these, I'm just going to be using bundled sage in oxide again. So just put the bundled sage onto there, and there it is. I'm looking, I've got a little stash of inks loitering on my table at the moment, so I figured I might as well use them. And I'll do the big one and then I'll run off and do the little ones. But once again, all you're doing is just sweeping the colour on. Now, I know a lot of people are aware of all this already, but sometimes you get new people who are new to crafting, and they just like to see it done. So there we go. So that's one stem, and I'm going to do these and I'll be right back. Right, so the leaves are done, and I went away and I cut my base. So my finished card is now 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's quite a large card, and of course could also go on a planner page if you wanted it to. So this is the way mine is going. And I've got my leaves, and it's all about, like I'm saying, you know, always saying, it's about your flower arranging. Yes, it is. And whether you want double flowers or if you want single flowers. My camera's gone wobbly. Oh, let's get it over there. I think that's it. Yeah. So whether you want singles or doubles, you can just play with it and look at how you like things. Now, I do think that's pretty, but it would totally need curling a bit, I think. And then I've got a lower one and another piece that would layer, and then I've got 3 that I can dot around. So do I want them in the center so that I'm like tripling up? I actually think I prefer them as doubles, so I'm going to use my 3 little ones after. And of course we've got our extra leaves, so I'm just going to glue that leaf down right there. And what I might do actually is just come up slightly so that I've got a little bit more space down at the bottom. And there goes my phone. So please excuse me for a second. I've got that down there. I'll be right back. Right, sorry about that. Yeah, life happens. And next up, now that we've got the leaves down, we're going to stick the largest flower. Now, I'm going to have mine right there. Now for this one, I'm going to curl it a little bit. So I've got a Tombow pen here, and I just want to curl it up at the edges just really slightly because I've used really heavyweight cardstock today. And please forgive my throat once again. And I've still got those little gold dots. I might even use those again, because it's really important, isn't it, that when you've got stuff you use it. So that's my first flower. I just think that's really pretty. And I think I am going to put a gold dot in the middle. Why not? I'm just going to grab them here and decide on my size of dot. I think I'm going to go for the biggest. Oh yeah, like that. Right, next up is the middling flower, and you've got like a plain stalk there onto which you can glue your doodahs. So I'm going to go there with that one. And then once again, I'm just going to curl up the edges really gently. Just force them up around something round, and you'll be okay. I mean, I have got all kinds of flower making tools and whatnot, but they're in a big pot behind me. I've had those for years. I'm not somebody who's very good at destashing, especially when it comes to tools, and particularly punches. I mean, I know people don't like to have their punches around anymore, and I remember when everybody used to rush out and get the latest Martha Stewart punch, you know, and now so many people are selling them. And I must admit, some of them do fetch quite a lot of money. They certainly do. But I just can't part with stuff like that. Because tools will always come back again. That's the thing. I mean, it's the same with crafting as well, you know. It'll be all foxes and badgers and squirrels again in a couple of years. So you may as well hang on to them. Yeah, there's all kinds of fashions and trends for everything. So I've got another one there. And of course, I've got extra leaves, so it could be that I can use some of these with some of these. Or maybe... No, I think I'm actually going to have that coming out from where I'm going to put my sentiment. I think I need to put my sentiment down next. And then I'll know where everything else is going. Now, I've looked at my sentiment and I think it looks a bit, you know, too matchy-matchy to what's going on at the background. So I'm going to put some, I think pink on it. Why not? I've got a little bit of Kitsch Flamingo left on this foam. So I'm just going to drag it down onto here. And colour it in. There. Make it stand out just a little bit more from the background. It looks a little bit stripy now. Ombre-ish. There. I kind of like that more. That will stand out a bit better. And deciding on where I want my sentiment, I think I kind of want it skew-iff and a little bit under there. So I'm going to go with my sentiment right there, I think. And I'm going to glue it down. And then I can decide where the rest of the leaves and flowers go. So that looks about central to me. So I'm going to go there. And now I'm going to go, I think with my next leaf, I'm going to have it kind of crossing over, I think. But I still want to be able to see the thank you. I'm going to go there and there. And then just to hide the gap in the middle, I'm going to drop a little tiny flower. And then I'm going to have another flower there. Maybe I'll have another leaf. And then I'll have a flower. And I am going to put those little dots in the middle. And if my phone call wasn't enough, there goes the dog, bless him. I'm going to tuck that right into there. Make it look like everything's coming off a huge stem. And then I've got a third flower, so just trying to think. can all go there. Now I'm just going to cap my glue off again. I'm looking at the clock. I spent quite a bit of time on this one, and I'm going to go for my littlest dots. Whoops. Wants to stick to my finger. That one doesn't want to stick at all, actually. I'm wondering if it didn't peel the sticky off the back of it. But I shall not play. I shall just get another one. And then I'll glue it down into the next one. I do like these little dots. Little dots and pearls are so useful when you're doing flowers. Try taking the pin out. Got my pickup tool, and you can see where I put it down here. So I'm just going to grab that and stick that into that. Make sure everything else is down nice and firm. Just give it a touch. Now if you wanted to, of course, you could always colour in your background. All you've got to do is use a very, very mild solution of bleach and water, like 10:1 kind of thing, of water to bleach, and you can keep that in one of those little measuring cups. You can use your watercolour brush and you can go on the insides and it will lift all of the ink out, so that you could go in with something a lot brighter. So you could do that if you wanted to. So that is what I've got for you today, and as it says, thank you. I thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you have an absolutely awesome day, and I will be up with more from Panalisa tomorrow. As usual, all links below. Bye.